What's up guys, Steve here with Fish On. Please shoot me a thumbs up, share and subscribe, and let's see where we're fishing today. Thanks for tuning in. Good morning, welcome to another video. Today we're back in Lyons, Colorado in the St. Vrain River. I'm outfitted in my full ninja get up here. My 3 kids were ninjas for Halloween, and one of you guys said I look like a ninja with these neck gaiters, so I'm kind of running with that, the fly fishing ninja. This is great. So, but it's mid-November, so this is more to keep my ears warm a little bit instead of keeping the sun off me. But we're in this Laverne Johnson Park. That's a fee area, and I don't mind paying a couple bucks. In fact, that's all I did. I paid $2 for 1 hour. So, you know, and that includes getting waders on and rigging up and seeing what we can do in just 1 hour. So probably 30 minutes of actual time in the water. And depending on how this goes, we'll probably head back on Highway 66 in town for the river and fish that. So mid-November, so that means midges. Midges are your focus in the winter months because midges hatch year round, but trout are gonna go after larger bugs when it's warmer. So midges become the focus this time of year. We just had our first major snowstorm come through, so I think midges are the play. Small, just dark midges, size 22, 24. If I catch a fish, I'll show you what I'm using today. If you got a hatch, it would probably be blue wing olive. That's gonna be your mayfly that would come off this time of year. I would expect pretty much only blue wing olive. If I actually got fish to come up and hit on the surface, I'd say it almost for sure would be blue wing olive. Size 20, size 20, 22, somewhere in there. So if we get surface action, that'd be the play. But we're gonna go below the surface with a double nymph rig today and see what we can get done. This ought to be fun. First couple throws here. I've never done quite as well here as I have off Highway 66 by the bridge in town. A lot of you guys are familiar with, but I will say in the winter, you know, whether I'm here or on the South Platte, you know, near Deckers, I either go really large or really small, kind of not very often in between. You got your small midges like we were talking about, or streamers. I mean, sometimes streamers can work too in the winter. Just give them a large presentation that they can't refuse. You might be surprised what you can do with streamers in the winter. Doesn't always have to be just the tiny midge presentation that everybody talks about. So in Colorado and probably a lot of western states, you know, there's really 4 classification of bugs you got to be familiar with. One is streamers, second is terrestrials, grasshoppers, leeches, beetles, ants, things like that. The third is caddisflies, and the fourth is mayflies. And that's about it. You know, your pale morning dun and blue wing olive might be the 2 most important bugs you need to know in general, and those are both mayfly patterns. And if I got a hatch today and fish were rising, it would almost for sure be blue wing olive. But those are that kind of breaks it down for you as far as like the 4 classifications of bugs I think you really need to know for Colorado, just to keep it simple. Oh, let's go. Baby fish on. Oh man, I get excited about small fish. I don't even care. But we got a fish on in one of these deeper pools that you always look for in the winter. Just places where fish would hold. And we'll see if it's a rainbow or brown. Come on, buddy. Let's get a look at this guy. It's a little brown. Beautiful, beautiful brown. This guy took the little purple guy right here that I'll show you. I believe that's a purple Spanish paragon. So, what a gorgeous, gorgeous fish. See, buddy. Told you if I caught one, I'd show you what I'm using. Again, just dark black midges. Got this guy as the top fly right there. I'm not even sure if you can see that. And then that little brownie took this, which I believe is a Spanish paragon, little purple guy. And looking forward to getting some flies from Colorado Fly Angler. He's got some just amazing flies. This might be one of my last trips where I don't use his flies, so that's gonna be so fun for our first business partnership. Man, I've had people make fun of me for getting excited about small fish, but I just love it. What a beautiful Colorado brown trout here in the morning sun in mid-November. Oh, it's so much fun. I show you guys 6-foot sharks out of Florida. I'll show you a 6-pound trout, you know, bass and everything else. But gosh, I love fish. I love them all. I love fish of all sizes. What an absolute blast. So you guys, you might have noticed it's cold enough to rock some fingerless gloves, and you might have noticed I took my gloves off for that fish. And why is that? Well, and I got my hands wet, but you know, there's some abrasion, you know, to these gloves, and I didn't want the fish, you know, slime coat to be damaged by the glove. So just a couple things on that. Everyone's obsessed with getting their hands wet, and that's great. You should definitely keep doing that. But more than anything, what hurts fish is when their slime coat is compromised, and that occurs when we drag them up on the bank and drag them up on sand or gravel. And I see people do that, and that fish is going to die almost for sure. That fish is going to have delayed mortality and die. So it's great that we all get our hands wet, but a dry hand on a fish is way better than dragging it up on the bank. So I mean, think about that logically. If you catch 4 trout and kill them and eat them, which I do sometimes, you know, is that worse than catch and release 30, but 20 of those fish die? If you catch and release 30 and drag them up on the bank, then they probably all died, even if they, quote, kicked off strong and swam off strong. So that's just something to remember. You know, be really careful with the slime coat. Try to keep them in the water. I didn't even use a net on that one. It's so small. If you use a net, use a rubber mesh net. But that's a couple really important things, you know, is just protect their slime coat. And even more than getting the hands wet, which matters, you know, just protect their slime coat and make sure that you're doing anything that's abrasive to the slime coat. That's the main thing with fish. And of course, keep them in the waters for as long as possible. You know, get your picture quick and put them back. So make sure they don't, you know, they're not losing oxygen for too long out of the water. That's it. We're gonna walk over to maybe one more pool here. How freaking awesome is that? I mean, the goal was just one fish, pay for 1 hour of parking. So by the time you rig up and get your waders on, what's that leave you, 20-30 minutes on the water? So how freaking sweet is that? Goal was one fish here. Always seen more fish and caught more fish down in town off Highway 66. So that's where we're gonna head after a couple more casts here, because I've about hit my hour by the time I walk back to the truck. But how awesome is that? Baby brown trout in the Colorado morning sun, mid-November, on a little purple fly. Purple's been sexy to fish this year. I don't know why. Next year might be a different color, but gosh, purple's been sexy to fish. I get excited for small fish. I just love it. I love all fish equally. I don't care what size they are. That was the goal. One baby trout out of this area, and then we're gonna fish off Highway 66 and hopefully show you some more over there. Tiny bugs coming off right now too, which is almost for sure mayflies, almost for sure little tiny mayflies and blueing olives. So maybe as the sun gets a little higher, we got an early start today, so maybe as the sun get higher, we get a little hatch and start getting fish to rise, and we might catch a few on the surface later. I don't know, but size 20, 22 blueing olive is going to be the play if I see fish rising. Definitely last cast, as they famously say. But how classic is that? I never changed flies. I knew my flies were fine, but I changed my depth range. I went a little bit deeper, got down a little bit deeper in the pool, and caught that brown trout. And that's what we always talk about. Line control, casting accuracy, depth range, more important than flies, baits, and lures oftentimes. So how classic is that? Just realized I haven't mentioned what I'm using today. Should always talk about your gear, but we always keep it simple. Like I always say, this whole rig right here is like $100 rig. This is a Bass Pro Shop special, White River Bighorn Bass Pro Shop, 8-foot, 4-weight fly rod, line, leader, reel, and rod for under $100 from Bass Pro, and rocking about a 3-pound leader, whatever X that is. What is that, 7X? I don't know. 3-pound, 3.5 pound leader, because obviously these fish are pretty small, and that's just perfect for this. Just absolutely perfect for this. You could use a 3-weight even. So super fun. Even a tiny trout like that last one puts a tiny bend in a rod like this. So that's what we're doing today. We always talk about depth range being one of the most important things in fishing. So I'll show you exactly what I do. These strike indicators are common. These are all over the place. You know, you can literally unscrew this right here and then raise or lower this to change your depth range. And there's a little piece of rubber in there that you might need or you might not need depending on the thickness of your line. So this is how easy it is to change your depth range. You know, this kind of strike indicator can be rigged up after you tie your flies on, so you don't have to worry about like putting this on first. And then if you needed more weight than that, you could obviously use split shot between your flies. If you use a double fly rig, I would just add split shot between your flies if needed. Today I just needed to move this. I just needed to move this up the leader, you know, to get the flies a little bit deeper, and that's all it took to catch that little brownie. And we're going to head over to the other part of the St. Vrain now, but split shot would have helped too. And then my bottom fly has a bead, so my bottom fly has a bead and the top fly doesn't, so that's gonna get everything a little bit lower also. But you know, a good rule of thumb is to, you know, set your entire rig about twice as deep as your moving water that you're on, because the flies swing out when they're in the river and potentially on a lake also if there's some chop and wind. So you got to be deeper than you think sometimes. So about twice as deep as the river is where you're fishing, because those flies are going to obviously swing out with moving water. And that's a little quick thing on depth range. Okay, we got our first rising fish, and that's all it took to make me want to go surface with a little BWO right there. I am 100% sure these are mayflies, and I'm 100% sure they're blue wing olive, and I'm about 99.9% sure I have the right fly. And here we go. There is one rising fish so far, but it is mid-November, and let's get some line out, and right there. Come on, fish. All right, yes, I am making a video when I only caught one tiny brown trout, but hey, sometimes it's hard to get a lot of content of fish. So in my defense, it's mid-November, hardly any bugs out, and I saw one fish rise one time and showed you guys that throw, and he stopped feeding immediately. So just one fish rise one time, and surface really sounded fun today, so I'm deciding to call it after about 90 minutes or 2 hours of fishing. Back on the Highway 66 part right now, as you saw driving over here. But yeah, you guys leave me a comment below. A lot of you guys have said this is better in the afternoon and evening, which I could see. I doubt there's a ton of bugs anytime this time of year. But a few BWOs came off just like you would think. I did dry fly for a little while, but the Perdigon and Zebra Midge in a size 22, which I think are good flies for this time of year, only produce that one fish that you saw over at that park. So yeah, leave me a comment if afternoon and evenings are better. I coach later today, so my schedule is the opposite of most people. I always work in the afternoon and evenings if the weather's nice, so I have to fish in the mornings, but that's certainly not a complaint up here on the bridge here overlooking Lyons and 66. But got to coach later today, so just the one fish, but hopefully some other good information for you guys, especially if you're kind of new to this game. And we'll call it a day. So thanks for subscribing, sharing, give me a big thumbs up, and we'll catch you on the next episode.